Well, good morning, everyone. Happy Easter. Did you all have a good Easter Sunday? You know, when Father asked, did you eat too much candy? Was he looking at me? I ate too much candy. And then, when I was done with that, I ate more candy. I admit it. Now, have you ever encountered someone who kind of looked familiar, but you couldn't quite put your finger on who he is, couldn't quite know who they are? Maybe this just happens to old people. This happens. Sometimes it'll happen. Somebody will walk by me and say, "Oh, hi, Phil." And I say, "Hello, you." And then maybe I'll remember. Kind of embarrassing when that happens. You know, when I was a little boy, I had a really good friend named David Oliver, and he lived across the street from us. And me and David used to hang out together and play together, especially in the summer. We'd be playing all day long throughout the summer. And on those hot summer days when you're playing, it's hard work. And you need to hydrate. And so we would go in and get some water. And well, we always figured without water, it gives us that kind of recharges our batteries, right? And so we didn't call it water when we went in to get a drink. We said we went in to get some extra power. We said we had some extra power, so we went to get a glass of water. And when I was, probably 4th or 5th grade, David and his family moved away. Right? They moved far, and so I lost contact with them. I didn't see him for a while, right? We didn't keep in touch. And then, years later, I was working. I was a restaurant manager, and one evening, one of the waitresses came over to me and she said, "You know, there's this guy on this table over here, and he's got some complaint about his food. He wants to talk to you." And so I went over and introduced myself, and he says, "You know, this food is too hot." Okay. And they said, "Well, it's too cold." I'm like, "Okay. Is it too hot or too cold?" He says, "And I ordered the salmon, but I got the snapper." Okay, that's not salmon or snapper. He says, "No, I ordered the snapper, but I got the salmon." And I'm really confused. What is this guy doing? And then he says, "Can you get me a glass of extra power?" And I recognized him. It was David Oliver, my friend from across the street. I didn't recognize him at all until he said that word, extra power. And it opened my eyes, and I could recognize him. And that's kind of what happened to the disciples in Emmaus. There they were with their friend Jesus, their best friend, and they didn't recognize him until he broke the bread. And then their eyes were open and they could recognize him. So sometimes it takes something unique about that person for you to recognize them. For me, I recognize my friend David. The disciples at Emmaus, they recognized their friend Jesus, but they did more than that. They recognized Jesus Christ, their Savior. The Savior of the world, who had given his life for them. That's something different. And we can do the same thing. We can do the same thing. When we look around in the church this morning, and you see a lot of familiar faces, people you know, people you recognize, maybe you don't know everybody's name. But in each of those faces, we can recognize the face of Jesus. To recognize the face of Jesus in everyone here in this church. When you're hanging around in your neighborhood, the people you see, you can recognize the face of Jesus. You go to the store, recognize the face of Jesus in all of those people whom we encounter. That's what the resurrection does for us. And we can also recognize Jesus as the disciples at Emmaus did in the breaking of the bread. When Father holds up that sacred host that has become the body and blood of Christ, and he breaks the bread, we can recognize that face, we can recognize Jesus in the bread. And for those of us who receive Holy Communion, and we receive Jesus, we can take Jesus with us out of the church as we go about doing our regular stuff we do. And within us is Jesus. Body, blood, soul, and divinity, because we've just received the Holy Communion. And so that way, as we go around, not only are we able to recognize the face of Jesus in others, but it can help them to recognize the face of Jesus in us.